Well, hello everyone, how are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week. Welcome to another survival challenge, in particular, a Maneater survival challenge. So yesterday I discovered that it was Shark Week, and I was sort of racking my brain around what kind of Shark Week video I should do. So I just sat down and I made a long list of every single shark-based character you could possibly think of. It is a surprisingly long list. I mean everyone from King Shark to the Street Sharks to Shark Boy to Mega Shark. If it is a shark-based character or in some way has shark in the name, it's on that fucking list. But I started making this list before I thought of what the challenge to put them through is, and it was probably pretty important that I figured that out beforehand, because after I made the list I was just kind of sitting there being like, shit, what am I gonna put them through? Like, what's the actual oh my god, I just fucking thought of it. Oh no. Would these shark-based characters survive Sharknado? That is such a better idea than this video. Oh, fuck me. I just lost all enthusiasm for making this. This isn't anywhere near as good as that idea. Shit. Alright, let's just fucking get this over with. So before we get the video started, we have to go over the challenge and see what the fucking I don't even want to do this anymore. Shit just sucked the wind right out of my ass. You get it. It's Maneater, it's a video game, you get to be a shark, you do fucking shark stuff. He's a very big shark. It's fucking lame. At the beginning of the game, you're a regular little shitty baby shark, and then you get fucking superpowers and you start adapting to all the things that happen to you. So people start shooting you with shit, so you get bone armor, and then eventually you get like lightning powers. You can transform into lightning. You get shadow powers. You start getting nuclear powers, and you can actually start using like atomic nuclear radiation in fights. You get really fucking big, even though the whole game takes place over less than a week. You go from being a shitty little baby shark that was just born to a 30-foot large megalodon that can rip fucking helicopters out of the sky and chuck them at other helicopters, basically becoming like a tiny kaiju. I even think you can actually argue that he's a lot bigger than 30 feet. Like, the game says he's 30 feet because you go into the menu and you can look at your character, and there's a little measurement bar above him that shows him how big he is as he gets through the multiple stages that he goes through throughout the game. And at the biggest, when he's a megalodon, it's 30 feet. But in the actual game, you completely dwarf the size of orcas, who full grown are bigger than 30 feet, as well as being a little bit bigger than sperm whales, who again in real life are between around 65 to 70 feet. So even though the game says it's 30 feet, I think there's actually a legitimate argument to be made that you're actually probably closer to like 80, 85 feet. Having said that, the size of these underwater creatures probably has more to do with just the limitations of the game. Like, if you're already 30 feet and the levels are designed for you to go swimming around comfortably within this universe, and then they suddenly make the sperm whale 2 or 3 times bigger than you are, there might be some strange game limitations of actually trying to fight that creature. Maybe that creature can't even appear in some of the areas because it's just too fucking big and the areas weren't made to be that big. There was probably a lot of game limitations that occurred to make them not be able to make these things as big as they're supposed to be. So I'm not going to take the literal in-game size all that seriously. It says it's 30 feet in the menus. I'm just going to go with 30 feet. However, it should be noted that the game ends once you hit 30 feet, but that doesn't actually mean that Bull Shark can't grow bigger. In fact, they released some DLC after the game release that allowed the shark to get even bigger, got even 5 feet bigger than it did in the main game. If they kept releasing DLCs, potentially they could just have this thing keep growing over and over and over again. There really doesn't seem to be a limitation to the character's powers. He literally is capable of transforming into electricity and becoming shadow. Doesn't seem like this evolutionary power has much of a limit to it. In terms of actual physical ability, the entirety of the military was not capable of taking this fucking thing down, including a bunch of professional shark hunters that were gifted military grade weapons. These motherfuckers literally have like on the water fortresses and war submarines that are firing high grade military weaponry and explosives at the shark, and it really doesn't do a whole lot. The shark just kind of doesn't even care that it exists. Is very easily capable of just biting directly through all of these tanks and shit and ripping them apart like they're made out of fucking styrofoam. As I said before, you can take a helicopter and chuck that helicopter into something else and just blow the fucking both of them up. When they fire torpedoes and rockets at you, you're fast enough to dodge and then catch the torpedo and rocket, and smart enough to chuck the torpedo / rocket back at the person who fired it at you. So to get down to the nitty gritty, the challenge is essentially if these pseudo-aquatic warrior characters, basically if you're a character who is any way involved with the water or had to fight some creature that lives in the water at some point, you qualified for this list. Yeah, like I said, my other idea is probably probably better. The question here is, can these 4 characters overcome a super intelligent, tank-destroying, helicopter-chucking, hyper-evolution, evolving, super-powered, acquiring, pissed-off shark that attacks basically everything that it comes into contact with for really no reason whatsoever? So, yeah. Let's see how that goes. First up on the chopping block, we have Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean series, and he gonna get fucked up. I'm not even gonna bury the lead on this one. Davy Jones has nothing. Absolutely nothing. His ship is gonna get torn to pieces like it's made out of fucking tinfoil. All of his people chewed to pieces, killed. None of their swords, none of their cannons. None of it is going to do any damage to the bull shark, and the bull shark can basically freely do whatever the fuck it wants to any of them. Even the Kraken, Davy Jones's nuclear option, is super weak compared to the bull shark. It gets most of its tentacles blown up by a couple barrels of gunpowder. Do you know the difference in power between a barrel of gunpowder and an actual, like, modern day torpedo missile rockets? This shit that gets fired at the bull shark, they are vastly different in power. The Kraken's skin will have the softness of an elderly woman compared to that of the bull shark. The only thing it has going for it is it's bigger, and the bull shark has killed things that are bigger many, many, many times before. Literally, the only thing that Davy Jones has going for him is that he can't die unless you destroy his heart, and his heart throughout the majority of the series is nowhere near him or his ship. It's buried on some island somewhere, which means the bull shark has no way of destroying the heart, meaning the bull shark has no way of destroying Davy Jones. However, I think it could be very easily argued that his immortality and not dyingness is not that great. Like, in the actual series of Pirates of the Caribbean, the only thing they ever try is stabbing him and shooting him. That's it? That's the only thing you're gonna try. What about cutting him into little pieces, burying those little pieces in different areas, cutting his head off? He doesn't seem to have any form of regeneration. We never once at any point in the series see him regenerate anything. As far as we know, all those gunshots and stab wounds that he have are just like open fucking wounds on his body that just don't affect him. Will he be able to survive something like the bull shark eating him, chewing up in little pieces, swallowing him, and then him getting digested? After he goes through that whole process and then is shit out, is he going to regenerate from the shit and become a full person again? Or is he just a piece of shit now? Just a conscious piece of shit floating on the top of the water across the ocean forever. Now, some people might say something like, what if Davy Jones gets eaten by the shark and then he's in the stomach and they can like take his sword out and then stab the shark and kill it from the inside? I never understand these types of arguments, because unless shown otherwise, the organs within your body should be of relatively even durability to the skin on your body. They're made out of very similar shit. I mean, your skin is an organ just like all your other organs. They're all made out of, you know, comparable materials. So if you can't harm him from the outside, which you can't because a dude could take rockets to the face and be fine, then he's not gonna harm him from the inside. All he has is a sword. The hell's a sword gonna do? The entire Pirates of the Caribbean series, he's shown to have equivalent strength to all of the other humans. He never just easily overpowers characters like Jack Sparrow, William Turner, or any of these other characters. He's just like a normal dude who looks fucking weird, who controls a Kraken, can't die, and can travel back and forth between our universe and Davy Jones's locker. That's it. That's all of his powers. That's not enough. He's dead. Or, bare minimum, a floating piece of shit. Take your pick. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. If you join the membership, you get access to exclusive videos that no one else can get. I just released another members-only video yesterday, or yesterday from the time that I'm filming this, so I guess, I don't know, 2 days ago, depending whenever this fucking drops. So if you're a member, go check that out. If you're not a member, you know, I mean, you can look at the thumbnail. It's a pretty thumbnail. I'm proud of the thumbnail. And if this video does really well, if the evil overlord algorithm gods decide to take this video and show it to a bunch of people and it does at least as well as my last couple, I will make the Sharknado video. If it doesn't do well, I'm not gonna make the Sharknado video because there's no reason to do that. If it does, Sharknado video definitely gonna be coming out. Are you tired of this ad? So am I. Let's get back to the video. Next up on the list, we have Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher series, and I have to change it a little bit for this challenge. It's just not fair for Geralt's character to just toss him in and make him have to deal with this shark without allowing him to prepare for this hunt. Geralt can't even fight the monsters in his own universe without prep time. Like, that's his whole thing. The thing that makes him so strong and so skilled is his knowledge and his ability to prepare for the things that he has to come across. It's his expertise. Take away his expertise, there's no point in even talking about this. He will instantly be obliterated by the shark. Honestly, he'll probably die faster than Davy Jones. At least Davy Jones has a bunch of dudes on his ship that the shark will have to get through before he actually gets to Davy Jones himself. Geralt is just him. So you have to look deep, deep in the pit of your brain to come up with how Geralt could possibly overcome the shark. And where my mind goes goes is that the only way he's going to overcome the shark is if he can lure it on land and keep it on land long enough that it suffocates and dies. I honestly can't think of a single other way he can win. Geralt has fought giant sea creatures in the past, but he always lures them on land. He's not capable of fighting them in the water. So I don't see any reason why he would even try to do that. And the shark from Maneater is shown oftentimes jumping on land and just eating a bunch of dudes on the shore. He literally travels into the towns and cities and just jumps around eating people because the shark has this ability that as long as he's eating people, he can sustain himself. He doesn't actually need air as long as he's eating people. I don't know how that works biologically, but that is indeed the case. Once he runs out of people, he has to hurry up and get back in the water. And if it's just Geralt here, and Geralt can somehow lure him on land to try and get the shark to eat him, but then he can avoid being eaten by said shark, he could actually possibly win. There's gonna have to be a lot of setup and trickery and like getting the shark on land and then somehow blocking off its path from going back in the water. And then using his signs intelligently, like I'm forgetting the one, is it Yrden? It's the sign that's like the symbol on the ground that slows down anyone that moves in it. Perhaps he could put that down, catch the shark in it, the shark will suddenly slow down, buy Geralt some time to allow the shark to suffocate while it can't move very quickly. Perhaps he can use his mind control ability Axie on the shark to work for a couple of seconds and sort of keep it on there a little bit longer. Lay a bunch of traps on the ground because he is capable of making traps and setting traps up to kind of halt the shark's progress. However, the thing that makes this far less likely is the fact the shark is actually super intelligent, and I just don't think that he'll allow Geralt to bait him on land as deep as he will need him to be baited in order to stop him from getting back in the water basically instantly. Also the fact there's certain abilities that the shark has that can just outright undo a lot of the abilities that Geralt has. Like even if he does get caught in the slow-mo, again I think it's Yrden sign, would that also slow down the shark's lightning dash ability where he literally turns into the element of electricity and dashes forward? Is the sign literally going to slow down the electricity? Because we've only seen it slow down people and beings and ghosts. I don't think we've ever seen it slow down an element. It's not like you fire an arrow over the Yrden sign and the arrow fucking slows down in midair. You're not like bullet timing the area. You also the fact that Shark's a lot faster than Geralt. Now don't get me wrong, Geralt's fast, faster than people give him credit for. In the novels, he's straight up said to run so fast that he looks like a blur to the human eye, and that he swings his sword so fast that people just straight up cannot see his sword at all. Like it just turns invisible because of how fast he swings it. That's really fast. But again, the shark can turn into fucking lightning, and you just travel as lightning. He is capable of intercepting and catching missiles in midair. And while it is definitely true that shark will be slower on land than it is in the water, that still doesn't stop its whole lightning dash ability and the fact that it's considerably faster than a normal person could ever be, including Geralt. And this is particularly bad considering that if Geralt wants to keep it on land, he's gonna have to stay near it. Like if he just runs away because this thing is so fast it's coming at him and he runs like super far away from the water, the shark's not just gonna stupidly keep chasing him. It's aware that it needs water to survive. So it kind of has to stay within biting range so the shark isn't compelled to go back into the water. He basically has to trick the shark into thinking that it's about to get its meal at all times by keeping himself close enough to death that the shark doesn't give up on its target. Basically, he has to like psychologically fuck with the shark. I just personally think that the shark is way too smart for that, and honestly, he's too strong and too fast for any of Geralt's shit and traps and magic and shit to really do a whole lot to him. So all in all, the only thing that Geralt's gonna really be able to do is run away, which again, may not work because the shark is faster, even on land with a lightning dash. And also, it's not really in Geralt's character to run away. Like, I've never seen him do that before. So, I don't know. I think it's possible if he plans this out right. Like, if he has all the information ahead of time and he plans it out properly and he can set up just the right traps in just the right location with just the right bait to get it out there, get it staying out there, cut off its path back in the water, I think can last. But just like getting it out of the water and hitting it with its sword and fighting with it, no. He's not strong enough to do any real damage to it. As I said, it's a lot faster and a lot stronger than him. It would kill him in one hit. He really doesn't stand any chance whatsoever in a physical confrontation. But he is still a genius hunter, and he has a lot of monster hunting expertise, and I think luring it on land and having it die of suffocation definitely sounds like something that Geralt would do. If you guys have a better idea of something he might do to beat it, let me know. This just seemed like the most logical one. I don't know. I'm gonna bat that one down in the comments and see what you guys think. Next up on the list, we have Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman from the Snyderverse. And your first thought probably is, because it was my first thought too, is that this is stupid because Aquaman can control fucking fish and underwater sea life. So wouldn't he just be able to control the shark? But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Aquaman's fish control ability is really, really shitty in the Snyderverse. Like, it's really, really bad. Most things he comes across, he is shown not being able to control. He can't control any of the creatures in the trench. He can't control the crab people. He can't control the fish people. He can't control the Leviathan. Now, the Leviathan does eventually join him, but it's not because he controls it with its power. It's because it realizes he can talk to it, and he proves to it that he is a worthy king, making it choose to follow him. He doesn't actually control it with his power. In fact, the only creatures that we see him control with his powers are sea creatures that have basic bitch animal levels of intelligence. Bull Shark from Maneater does not have regular shitty animal levels of intelligence. It's actually super, super intelligent. It is capable of circumventing, outthinking, and taking on the entire military by itself. This is not a stupid fish. So, no, I don't think Arthur can control it. If he wants to beat this thing, he's gonna have to fucking beat it. And in terms of how strong he is, I don't really think he's as strong as people say he is. People will call him multi-continental, but like, I don't get it. I've already talked about Henry Cavill's Superman, how I don't think that character is multi-continental. But if people are arguing that character is multi-continental, how the fuck are you arguing that Aquaman is? But this is actually something that's pushed by a lot of people. Even if I give you that Henry Cavill's Superman is multi-continental, which, again, he's not, Aquaman, Cyborg, and Wonder Woman all together combined could not push Superman back at all. The full power of all three of those characters. It's not like Superman braced himself and put one foot back and really like held his ground and they couldn't move him. He was literally just standing there. I've legitimately seen arguments online of people saying that Aquaman is multi-continental because he fought against Superman. You're really stretching the meaning of the word fought. It is painfully clear that Aquaman is nowhere near Superman's level of power. Another character they compare him to, which is almost as baffling as Superman, is Steppenwolf, who we have 0 feats from. Nothing. He hasn't done anything. The only thing that we've seen him do is fighting against other people. So you end up having like this circular thing where it's like, okay, Superman fought Steppenwolf, who fought this character, who fought this character, who eventually fought Aquaman. It's like, just because 2 characters have met and one character attempted to harm another character, that doesn't mean they're equal. They're clearly not equal. People say Steppenwolf is moon level because the original Doomsday in the Snyderverse, in case you're not aware, there's 2 Doomsdays. The one that we saw in Batman v Superman was the second Doomsday. There actually is an original Doomsday that destroyed the moon of Krypton and caused the fall of planet Krypton. And at some point it was stated that Steppenwolf survived a fight with this creature, and because of that, people say that he's fucking moon level. And my argument is Batman survived a fight with Superman. Does that mean Batman's the same strength as Superman? Like, we don't see the fight. We don't even see Doomsday destroy the moon. We don't see any of this shit. We don't know what the fuck's going on. We don't know what the history of this was. These are some Frogger level leaps in logic that I just don't understand. So, if we're gonna actually come to a conclusion of how strong Aquaman is, what does he actually do in the series? And there is some good stuff here. He lifts an entire submarine out of the water. That's really good. Now, it's not as good as you might think it is because a submarine would weigh considerably less underwater than it would outside of water due to buoyancy. Basically, if something has water underneath it, you don't feel as much pressure weight going down, so everything feels lighter. This is why you can like lift a 300-pound dude underwater and it's not that hard. This is the same case for everything underwater, regardless of how heavy or deep it is. Now, pressure does eventually get so extreme that you die, but you don't actually get heavier as you go down. You're actually really, really light. As far as what we've seen him do outside of water, it's really not as impressive as you'd think it would be. He's shown seriously struggling to lift this giant stone column when some people are trapped underneath it. He knocks that big-ass metal bell out of the air as it's falling about to land on that kid. He's shown to be bulletproof. He's shown to be fast enough to deflect blasts that are coming out of Atlantean guns. However, he's never once shown deflecting or reacting to bullets that are shot by people. And the Atlantean guns, we can actually see the projectiles move, so it's very possible that they're just slower projectiles in general. This also makes sense considering the projectiles are shot underwater, which means it would just naturally go slower. Basically, everything moves slower underwater except for, Aquaman himself. And as far as physicals go, that's really about it. This stuff is impressive, but it's nowhere near what people try to sell it as. I mean, we see Mira trying to break through a submarine in the second movie. She's punching the front of this reinforced glass and trying to rip off the door of the submarine, and she gets it open, but she clearly struggles to do it. It's something that's very difficult. And you might say, well, that's not a fair comparison because Arthur is stronger than Mira, and I would agree that Arthur is stronger than Mira, but the only reason why why people say Arthur is as strong as he is because he fought against Steppenwolf, which Mera also did. Mera and Aquaman teamed up to fight Steppenwolf, and they both fought him in hand-to-hand combat. So if you're gonna suddenly start saying that Aquaman is fucking continental or whatever you want to put him as, wouldn't you also have to say the same thing about Mera? And we see Mera seriously struggle to rip open a submarine. These characters are not continental, multi-continental stuff. It's just, it's not the case. Clearly it's not the case. Another thing people like to bring up to try and exaggerate the levels of power in the Aquaman movies is the environmental shit that they do. So like in the first movie, Orm creates a massive tsunami that hits the coastline and kills a bunch of people, destroys a bunch of shit. And people like say, okay, well, he did that. That's like bare minimum. That's gotta be like city level or country level or whatever. But we don't know how he did that. Did he do it with a machine? Because when we actually see him fight and he's got his little trident and shit, he never does anything close to that in actual battle. It happens once and we don't see how he does it. It's also stated that the Sahara Desert was created by using one of the tridents to dry up all the land there. But again, we never see anyone actually do this. Like if this was the case, if this was something that Arthur specifically could do, wouldn't it have been very helpful during the fight against Orm or Black Manta when he was trying to murder his son to just suck all the fucking moisture out of his body and immediately kill him? Why doesn't he do that? There's a fight between Aquaman and Orm at the end of the first movie where they're fighting on land, and because of this, Orm is at a disadvantage. It's a part of the story that during their first fight they were underwater, and Arthur's not as good at fighting underwater as Orm is, but Arthur's way better on land. So Arthur gets him on land, fights, and beats him. If Orm was able to just take his trident and create massive tsunamis, wouldn't that have been useful in a fight against Aquaman at the end of the movie? What about the massive battle that happens at the end of Aquaman 1 where you have a bunch of like good sea creatures, I guess, and then you have all of Orm's sea creatures and they're going to war? Wouldn't being able to change the tides or alter the water and attack an entire army of underwater sea creatures would have been super useful? Like the dude apparently can make tsunamis casually. That's how people talk about it. I don't believe he can make tsunamis casually. We don't see how he does it. We don't even know if it's coming from the power of his trident or some big fucking Atlantis machine that does it. We don't know. This is just yet another example of people taking small comments here and there and going to the absolute most extreme with them and making these massive assumptions on power levels that they just can't justify within the story. So to get to the point of this section, how good would Aquaman actually do in a fight with the bull shark? He would do really, really well, but I still think he would probably lose. If his fish controlling abilities won't work, which they won't, and his physical strength is limited enough that he struggles to smash through submarines and struggles to lift big ass rocks, then he's not actually strong enough to face off against the bull shark, who could very easily one chomp an entire submarine, destroy it in his teeth like it's no fucking problems. Deflecting underwater bullets is impressive, and in Batman v Superman we see him swim so fast that he breaks the sound barrier. Again, very impressive, but the bull shark can literally turn into lightning when he travels, which should be considerably faster than breaking the sound barrier. And honestly, once again, the fact that the bull shark can actually turn into lightning and can poison people and has all of these sort of crazy biological weapons that he can use against Aquaman, he's just at a massive advantage here. The only thing I can really say that Aquaman could do that would help him against the bull shark is his suit that allows him to turn invisible that they introduced in Aquaman 2. That would be super useful if he can keep that for a bit, but he always seems to turn it off in the middle of fights. It seems like if somebody hits him, it immediately gets turned off. And you also have the fact that the bull shark has echolocation, which means he doesn't even really need to see things. And if we go by like actual real life sharks, their sense of smell allows them to smell things for literally miles. So a combination of the bull shark's insane senses and literal echolocation would basically make the invisibility suit completely worthless. So yeah, you have Aquaman fighting against a physically superior being with more powers, and that basically makes all of his cool powers completely worthless. Aquaman fucking loses. Surprisingly. That's very surprising. Last up, but certainly not least, we have the Tamer from Palworld. And this one is interesting. So my first thought when thinking about this matchup is that it's going to be super one-sided towards the Tamer, because obviously he has a bunch of different water pals that are arguably considerably more powerful than the shark and Maneater. So like obviously it's, you know, he's gonna win. There's a legendary pal in this game that in the lore pages froze an entire mountain. Like he permanently changed the weather of an entire mountain range just through his own power. So what's stopping him from just going to the water where the shark is and just freezing the fucking water? Well, I would say that really depends on how big the body of water is, because if it's like a small lake or a pond or whatever, I think he could probably freeze it and the shark will just be stuck in the frozen lake. But if it's a massive body of water, it's like an ocean, freezing a mountain and altering the weather in the area is not equivalent to freezing an entire ocean. That's a big fucking difference. But the main thing that I thought it was really going to come down to here is the pal spheres and the fact that the shark shark can actually be caught by the Paltamer using the Pal Spheres. The problem is, he's never used the Pal Sphere on anything that lives underwater, like he's never thrown it in the water. There are water-based pals, but all of the water action in the game takes place on the surface. The Paltamer doesn't have the ability to get on a water pal and then swim underwater and go super, super deep, which is something I think that they really need to add to the game. It just feels like it's something that's missing. Like right now, you have several different types of pals that you can travel on. You have the flying pals, the water pals, the like riding pals that are on land. And right now, the water pals don't really have anything that the flying pals and the land pals don't have. Like it can swim, and swimming takes up stamina, but if you have a flying pal that doesn't take up stamina, you can just fly across the top of the water and it's fine. So why use the water pals? The reason to use the water pals would be to dive underwater, which isn't in the game yet. I feel like at some point they're going to add it to the game, but as of right now, it's not here. So the Paltamer doesn't have a way to actually go underwater and properly fight the shark. And throwing a Pal Sphere in the water isn't going to go deep enough to actually catch the shark. So the shark's going to have to come up to the surface, which it's going to do. The problem there is, can the Pal Sphere catch like a being that's made of shadow or lightning? There's 155 pals, and to my knowledge, none of them are just made out of a fucking non-solid element. The shark can literally turn into lightning or shadow. So if the Pal Sphere is thrown at the shark, it should be able to avoid being caught by just turning into an element the Pal Sphere can't catch. Until the Pal Spheres are shown being able to catch things that are not solid, I can't say for sure the Paltamer is going to be able to catch them. You also have the problem that the shark has the ability that anything it eats it acquires the powers of. In the game, it comes across an underwater sea creature that has atomic powers, and when it eats it, it acquires the atomic powers. So if the Paltamer summons a pal to go fight the shark, and the shark beats it and eats it, it's going to become significantly more powerful. And while yes, it is true the Paltamer does have powers that are more powerful than the shark and should be able to take him on, he's going to have to start with that. Like, don't put out your weaker pals and let this fucking thing get so strong that your strongest pals can't deal with it anymore. That's going to be a problem. So while I do think the Paltamer can absolutely win, he does have pals that are strong enough to actually fight against it, even though the Paltamer himself isn't capable of fighting against it because he just can't enter the water, at least not in the same way that the shark and the pals can. The fact the shark can basically avoid any damage that any of the pals can do via transforming into a fucking non-existent entity like shadows kind of turns it into a situation the Paltamer can actually lose. Like, let's say for a second the Paltamer sends his strongest water pal underwater to go fight the shark. The shark is smart, right? Okay, I see this dude controlling this pal. The shark just passes by the fucking pal, turning into lightning or shadow or whatever, to the point that the pal can't actually harm him, jump out of the water and go right at the Paltamer. The Paltamer tries to throw his little Pal Sphere at him or shoot him or something. The guns aren't going to do that much damage, and he can just turn into lightning or shadow to avoid the shots and the Pal Sphere. That lightning can go right through the Paltamer, which actually will have a negative effect. The Paltamer's strong, but he can be harmed by like normal shit. Guns hurt him, weaker pals hurt him. He definitely has super strength and is pretty tough and is even able to take down these strong legendary pals, but it's not like he's bare fisting these motherfuckers. He has to have very advanced weaponry. He has to have heavy armor that is oftentimes imbued with the mystical palladium fragments that you find on the island. And in a straight up fight, he is actually going to have to be pretty careful fighting this fucking thing that could still bite through him and kill him. Now, do I think that the Paltamer has a better chance of winning the shark? Yeah, I do. Again, the power difference here between his pals and the shark is pretty big, and the fact the Paltamer can fight against them, even if he himself, without all those items and shit, isn't strong enough to withstand the attacks that these creatures can do, he is still capable of fighting against him. He will have to deal with the issue of not being able to touch the shark, but the shark can only do this lightning shadow bullshit for very short periods of time, so he'll just have to time his shots properly and shit like that. And as smart as the shark is, the Paltamer is considerably more intelligent. I talked about this in my Palworld video, but basically just a regular dude who appeared on an island and over the course of a week is able to take shit like wood and iron ore and all this and turn it into like super over the top futuristic fucking weaponry. His intelligence is fucking insane. So yes, I do think he's beating the shark, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people would think it's going to be. Like, I think fighting against the shark would be like the Paltamer fighting against like a high mid pal. Not a high pal, not the legendaries, not even the ones below legendaries, but maybe like the ones below that. Like, he's way stronger than the starting pals. Like, he's murdering a Malpaca for sure. And hopefully, if the Pal Tamer can actually time his fucking throws right and maybe get him right when he leaves that little lightning dash thing where you can't go lightning anymore and hit him with the Pal Sphere, maybe he can catch him and get a new really cool fucking pal. A pal that will continuously evolve and adapt to everything it comes into contact with. Then he can just go around with this shark, summoning it and having it eat all the different pals and just constantly getting more powerful. You just got yourself a fucking automatic legendary, the most powerful pal on the island, because this bitch is gonna keep evolving everything it eats. It's gonna be cool. It's a cool pal. But that's gonna be all for me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, enjoy the membership. Remember, join the membership. You get exclusive access to videos that no one else can watch. And again, don't forget to do this, because if the algorithm picks this video up, I will make that other shark video that to me just sounds so much cooler than this one, which I don't know, I'm kind of regretting not doing it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?